Okay, I think everyone has had enough time to join us now. Welcome to the Didger 5 New Features webinar. Hello, my name is Drew. I'm the Didger Product Manager. Been with Golden Software for going on 5 years, and I'm here today to go over some of the new additions available with the new release of Didger 5. After the discussion of each topic, I will stop for a few minutes to answer any questions. You can send your questions to the webinar host via the questions function. When we're open for questions, a questions box will appear on the webinar control panel under the audio section. Type in your question and it will be sent to the webinar host, who will then forward it to me. If your control panel is minimized, click the View menu and uncheck Auto Hide the control panel. This webinar will also be recorded, so after the webinar is finished, the video will be available on our website at www.goldensoftware.com. All right, ladies and gents, let's get started. As you all know, Didger 5 was released in mid-September. This new version of Didger incorporates new functionality with a number of user enhancements that forge what we feel is an exceptional new feature set. During today's webinar, I will be briefly discussing the new user interface enhancements we have added to Didger. I will explore Didger's new coordinate and projection system library. I will work through a quick example of adding a server and downloading a map using Didger's new embedded WMS browser, and I will be briefly discussing the new file formats we have added to Didger. A number of user interface enhancements have been added to Didger that are intended to increase usability and increase efficiency when working with Didger. I would like to point out some of these enhancements before we get into the meat of the webinar. First and most notable, Didger's menu structure has been redesigned. We have realigned the menus to be more consistent to the way our other products have been designed. We have moved all the boundary editing tools that were previously found on the Tools menu in previous versions to the Draw menu. For example, you'll see Reshape, Thin Smooth, the Resample command, Change Boundary Types, and then all the boundary editing tools. For those of you that are using digitizing tablets, the tablet calibration wizard and other tablet controls have also been moved to this menu. The project settings menu that was previously located under the file menu has now been moved to the tools menu. You will also notice that all of the menu and toolbar icons have been updated so users can easily find the tools and commands they are looking for. We have also made all drawing tools persistent, so there's no need to change any of the increment settings when you digitize multiple points or polygons. Another enhancement that was added to the user interface is the coordinate and projection system information displaying on the status bar. This allows you to always know what system you're working in. Full opacity control has been also added to all objects in Didger, including imagery. Zoom and pan have also been added to the mouse wheel, which aids in faster zooming. The zoom and pan are now also available from the mouse when in drawing modes. I would also like to mention that we have added a 64-bit installation to Didger that allow for larger image and vector file handling, and international font support has been added to all aspects of the program. And before I move on to another topic, I'd like to open it up for any questions about anything we've discussed or anything related to the new user interface enhancements. Okay, I'm going to check with my host here. Okay, I have a question coming in that says, I noticed the GPS commander is gone in Didger 5. Yes, that's correct. With modern machines, we are seeing more and more these days that many are made without the serial port connections. The GPS commander was a serial port based. We felt that if we updated the GPS commander, USB connectivity would have to be added to support modern GPS devices. We honestly didn't have a very large contingent of our user base that requested GPS support via the USB, so this feature was disconnected in Didger. I would be more than happy to add a vote to our suggestion file for adding the GPS commander back into future versions of Didger. See, I have another question coming in that says, is there a way to customize the menu commands if I don't like where a specific command has been moved to? Yes, of course. You can add any command to any menu or toolbar by using the View Toolbars, Managers, and Customize command. When the Customize dialog pops up, select the Commands tab, and you can drag any command to any menu from here. For example, I'll drag Project Limits and put it back on the View menu. Let's see, are there any other questions? Okay, moving on. The next topic I would like to address today is the new coordinate and projection system library that Didger 5 employs. We have totally redesigned the library to include 29 popular projections and over 300 datum definitions. One of the great things about this new library is that it converts projections much faster than older versions of Didger has. To access the new library, so I'm going to start a new project and use Map Set Default Projection. When the Assign Coordinate System dialog opens, you can see all of the predefined systems by expanding the hierarchy tree. All of the lat-long or geographic systems are listed by datum. And all of the projected systems outside of state plane and UTM are listed by region. There are also templates available for those of you that like an easy way to modify an existing predefined system with custom parameters. To show you an example of this, I'm going to first open one of Didger's sample files. And I'm going to use Map Change Projection. When the Assign Coordinate System dialog opens, I'm going to expand the Templates section. And for this example, I'm going to select Albert's Equal Area Conic Projection. To modify the system to a custom system, I'm going to click the Modify button. When the Define Coordinate System dialog opens, I can edit just about all the parameters. For example, if I wanted to change the datum of this system to the popular visualization CRS, which is the Google Earth projection, I can change the datum drop-down menu. I can also change the units here. I'm going to change the linear units to U.S. survey feet. And so now the system's been changed. I'm going to rename it. And click OK. One neat thing about the new library is that a modified system can be permanently saved to the Favorites category by clicking the Add to Favorites button. Any systems that are added to Favorites category will be available the next time Didger is opened, so these parameters don't have to be redefined. Before we move on to the next topic, I'd like to see if anybody has any questions. I have a question coming in that says, if we find a system that is commonly used at my office but is not found in the library, how can we get that system into Didger? Using the steps I just showed you by modifying a system to a custom projection system, you can do that if you know the parameters. If not, and you know the name of the system, you can send an email directly to me at drew@goldensoftware.com or to ditchersupport@goldensoftware.com, and I can add a request so that our development team can add that system to the library for future versions. I have another question that came in that says the dialog looks a lot like servers. Is it the same dialog in the same library? Yes. The dialog is structured a little bit differently, but the components are all there. And yes, it's the same coordinate projection system library underneath. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next topic. The next new feature I'd like to discuss is a highly anticipated and highly requested embedded WMS browser that was added for Didger 5. I would like to work through a quick example of adding a new server to the browser and downloading a map from that server into an existing Didger project. Okay, the first step to adding an image server to a Didger project is actually finding the WMS server online. Didger's WMS browser supports the OGC standard WMS 1.0 through 1.3 interfaces, which allows Didger to connect to almost any available WMS server. Hundreds of web mapping services can be found online by doing a quick online search of WMS servers. There are also a number of vertical search engines that focus on finding WMS servers, such as mapmatters.org or spotno.com. Once a server is found, it can be added to Didger's WMS browser by using the following steps. For this example, I am going to use the General Bathymetric Chart of the Ocean Server, or GEBCO. So I'm going to use image, download online maps, and in the download online maps dialog, I'm going to select a category where I want to add the new WMS server to: imagery, US data, or worldwide data. I'm going to right click and choose add. In the add data source dialog, I'm going to enter the name of the new server. And I'm also going to enter the URL of the new WMS server. For time reasons, I've already been to the GEBCO website and copied their URL, and it's on my clipboard. I'm going to go ahead and paste it into the URL box. And I'm going to click next to see if it's a valid URL. Great. I'm going to go ahead and click finish since the initial test passed. Please note that if a server does not pass this initial test, there is an issue with that URL being incorrect. The WMS server is offline or the server no longer exists. Now the server has been added to the browser, image layers from that server can be loaded directly into a Didger project. Please note that once a server has been added, it will appear in the browser server list each time Didger is opened. For this example, I'm going to open a project that contains a boundary file of the Hawaiian Islands. Okay, there we go. Then I'm going to use image, download online maps again. I'm going to expand the category that I added the server to. And then I'm going to expand the server layer to see the available image layers that I can download. For this example, I'm going to select WMS GEBCO 08 grid. And now that I have the image layer selected, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this section of the dialog so I can see more of the preview window. Now I'm going to move down to the select area to download selection. Since there is an existing map in Didger, I'm going to use the current map extents. However, there are other ways to define the extent of the layer you want to download. For example, the entire data source extents within X kilometers and miles of a certain central latitude longitude point, or I can specify a bounding box by specifying lat long extents. Again, I'm going to use the current map extents. And again, I can collapse this area of the dialog to see more of the preview window. I'm now going to move down to the Select Image Resolution to Download section. The slider in this section controls the image resolution and the size of the image layer that the WMS browser will download into Didger. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the slider so I get about a 5 megabyte image here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and let the layer load. Okay, great. As you can see, this creates a great looking base map for the project that I had open. Before I move on to the final topic today, I'm going to go ahead and open it back up for any questions. Okay, I have a question coming in that says, does Didger support WFS? For those of you that don't know what a WFS is, as opposed to WMS, the F stands for feature, so it's a web feature service. Didger doesn't support this currently, something that we have high hopes of adding in future versions. Let's see, I have another question that says, can multiple image layers be loaded into the same Didger project? Yes. Multiple images from the same server or from different servers can all be loaded into the same Didger project. I'm going to check with my host to see if there's any other questions. Okay. Okay, the final topic for today's webinar that I'd like to touch on are the new file formats we've added to Didger. We have added over 30 new file formats. To name a few, we have added full XL support. So that's import and export of XLSX, XLS, and XLSM. JPEG 2000 import and export support has been added. We've added PDF import support. Also GeoPDF import and export support has been added. And also KML and KMZ export support has been added. A more complete list of the supported file formats that have been added to Didger 5 can be found online on the Didger product pages on our website, or it can be found in the help. So I'd like to take the example of the map we just created from the WMS browser and export it to the new KML format, and then open that file in Google Earth. To do this, I'm going to use File Export. I'm going to name the file. I'm going to change the Save As type to KML. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. When the export option dialog's open, I'm going to go ahead and click OK to accept the defaults. And I already have Google Earth open, so I'm going to pull that up right now. And to load the KML file I just created into Google Earth, I'm going to use File Open. When the open dialog comes up, I'm going to navigate to the file. I'm going to click open. And as you can see, Google Earth is zooming right into that map that we created in Didger. This KML file is a great way to take your digitized information and share it with others that don't necessarily have Didger or a GIS program to open any other files. All they need is Google Earth to view these KML or KNZ files. So before I conclude the webinar, I'd like to see if there's any other questions about the new file formats that we added to Didger 5 or about anything that I touched during today's webinar. I have a question coming in that says, I commonly get GeoPDF files from the USGS. Can I import these into Didger? Yes, absolutely. GeoPDF files typically have the projection and coordinates or the spatial referencing information embedded in the header, and Didger will automatically pull that information out and locate those GeoPDF files in the correct spatial location. I have another question. This one's on GeoPDF also. The question is, I heard you mention GeoPDF support. Does this mean that Didger will export PDF with georeferencing information? Yes. The vector variety of PDF will embed that spatial referencing information exporting from Didger. So I'm going to check with my host. Is there any other questions? Okay. So this concludes the webinar of the new features found in Didger 5. If you have any additional questions once the webinar is now over, you can call our technical support phone line or email questions to me at drew@goldensoftware.com. For those of you that didn't get any of the questions answered during the webinar, feel free to send me a follow-up email, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, a recording of the webinar will be posted shortly on our website, and as always, thank you very much for your time.